Welcome. Today we are going to learn about the Sunjata, the Epic of Sunjata, by reading a children's book. So if you are doing this without me present in class today, you should be able to follow along using this video. If you have any questions, please email me. All right, so to complete this activity, you will need your Sunjata notebook. You may want the virtual text, but there's a link to it in your notebook. You're also going to want my copy of the notebook because I did put the information in my notebook for you to copy. Now, you might be wondering, if the information's in Ms. Klein's notebook for me to copy, why should I even bother watching this video? Well, just copying the information doesn't give you the full story. It's more entertaining if you read the children's book. You just have to sit and listen. It's not that big a deal. All right, so go ahead and open your copy of the notebook. Now, if you would rather just watch the video and then go back through the notebook, that's fine too. But in your notebook, if you go to the second slide, the table of contents, you will notice that the second thing on the table of contents is the children's book activity. So you want to click on that. It takes you to slide 11. So, as we read through this story, we're going to be breaking it down into the pattern of the hero's journey. If you want to, you can click right here and open the virtual text. You can follow along, you can read it on your own, whatever it is you prefer. I'm going to be reading it in this video. So, as I read the story, we are going to break it down into the parts of the hero's journey. So we will go over Sunjata's origin story, how his journey begins, the obstacles he faces, and how his journey almost ends. I'll probably cut this into 2 videos to take a little break. And basically, after I read the section, I'll show you the notes in the notebook. Hopefully this makes sense. Here we go. All right, so this children's book version of Sunjata, notice it says Sunjata, the Lion King of Mali. This was written by David Wisniewski. The first page has a map of Sunjata's journey. Now, this is going to be much more interesting once we have gotten more into the story, but essentially, Sunjata's story begins right here in the town of Niani. He will travel here and here up to here, and this is where he will be exiled for about 10 years before he begins his journey back. All right, let's begin the story. Listen to me, children of the bright country, and hear the great deeds of ages past. The words I speak are those of my father and his father before him, pure and full of truth, for we are griots. Centuries of law and learning reside within our minds. Thus, we serve kings with the wisdom of history, bringing to life the lessons of the past so the future may flourish. Listen then to the story of Sunjata, the Lion King, who overcame all things to walk with greatness. As the lion rules the savannah with power and grace, so did Magan Khanfata rule Mali. So that name, Magan Khanfata, that is Sunjata's father, and he is a king. This is before the Mali Empire, but he was a king. One day, 2 hunters approached his throne. Between them walked a maiden, hunchbacked and ill-favored. King Magan caught his breath, for such a visit had been foretold. So foretold means he had received a prophecy. He had heard. He had been told that 2 hunters were going to come and visit him with a woman and that he needed to marry that woman. So he had previously been told that. So when he sees these 2 hunters arrive with the woman, he's like, okay, this is the moment. Great king, said the hunters, we come from the land of Do, where a terrible buffalo ravaged the countryside. We slew it, and in gratitude, the king of Do bade us bring this damsel to you. So basically, they killed a buffalo for the king of Do, and he said, take this woman with you. Her name is Sogolon Kaju. Though homely, she is said to possess the very spirit of that buffalo, strong and courageous. Now, if you don't know what homely means, she was known for being very unattractive. And so they're bringing them, they're like, hey, we have this woman for you. Even though she's unattractive, she has the spirit of the buffalo. Of such spirits, great kings are born, whispered Magon's griot. The son of lion and buffalo will be mighty indeed. So advised, the king wed Sogolon and grew to love her. So this is how Sunjata's parents meet. His father is a king. He has the spirit of a lion. Two hunters bring a woman with the spirit of the buffalo. He marries her. Done? Oh, okay. The next year, Sogolon gave birth to a boy. Okay, so his parents get married and they have him. All rejoiced except Sasuma Berati, the first wife of the king. Magan already has my fine son as his heir, she muttered bitterly. What need has he of another, especially from this hideous woman? But the new Prince Sunjata, though blessed by the spirits of the buffalo and the lion, proved unable to speak or walk. At this, Sasuma Berate rejoiced. All right, so we can get the start of Sunjata's origin story from that part. You can go ahead and put this in your notebook now as I'm going over it, or you can wait until after the video, whichever works for you. All right, so Sunjata's situation at birth. His father, a king, is introduced to a maiden who has the spirit of a buffalo. His father marries this woman, and Sunjata is born. So Sunjata is blessed with the spirits of the buffalo and the lion. But unfortunately, he cannot speak or walk, and by the time he's 3, he cannot speak or walk. Sunjata's father already had a wife and son, and that wife is upset because the new son, Sunjata, is going to replace her son as heir. All right, back to the story. For 7 years, Sogolon tried in vain to heal her son with potions and herbs. Sunjata dragged himself through the palace, ignored by some, ridiculed by others. His mother was heartbroken and his father despaired. So by the time he's 7, he still cannot walk. His mom tried to heal him, but she could not, so he drags himself along on his hands. How small the seed from which a great tree springs, counseled the king's griot. And what storms the first sprout endures. Sunjata will grow in his own time, not yours, great king. So while his mother and father are worried, his father's griot is like, you know what? Great things are going to come of this child. You just need to be patient. So that gets us to an early obstacle. An early obstacle of his. By age 3, he could not speak or walk. And by age 7, he also cannot speak or walk. And his father's first wife is especially cruel to him. The next day, Magan ordered his son brought before him. My time grows short, Sunjata, he said. So now I must present the gift that each king gives his heir. A young man stepped forward. This is Bala Fasiki, the king continued. As his father has been my griot, so will he be yours. From him you will learn the history of your ancestors and the laws of this life. May your destiny be fulfilled, my son. Sunjata sat up slowly, motioned Bala Fasiki to his side, and spoke his first words. Bala, you are my griot. Magan's doubts disappeared, and he prepared Sunjata to rule. All right, so the king wants Sunjata to be his heir, to be the king after him, but something else will happen. But when Magan Konfata died, the council of elders paid no attention to his wishes. Instead, they allowed the son of Sasuma Bereti to ascend the throne. Filled with pride, Sasuma lost no time in taunting Sunjata's mother. It would seem that a walking boy is better than a crawling lion. Seeing Sogolon's tears, Sunjata summoned Bala Faseke. Go to the master smith, he ordered, and fetch me an iron rod. When Bala returned, Sunjata seized the rod with both hands, thrust it into the ground, and raised himself to his knees. Then, with a mighty effort, he pulled himself to his feet. The iron rod fell away, bent with strain, and Sunjata stood alone. A crowd gathered in amazement as Sunjata took a step, then another and another. Make way, cried Bala Fasiki. The lion is walking. All right, so this is the end of Sunjata's origin story. His early obstacle: by the age of 3, he could not speak or walk. By the age of 7, he still is not speaking or walking. He is ridiculed. His father's first wife is especially cruel. His father chooses him as heir, but then when his father dies, it is decided that his father's first son will be king. So essentially, Sunjata is passed over to be king, even though those were his father's wishes, because of his disability. All right, but then he reveals his powers when, at the age of 7, his father's first wife is teasing his mother so badly he feels bad about it. So he asks his griot to go get him an iron rod. He sticks it into the ground and pulls himself up to standing and begins to walk. Now, this might not sound super impressive in this version of the story, but the way it's usually told, this was a huge rod so big that one man could not carry it on his own. Sunjata, however, picks it up by himself and uses it to pull himself up. And he's so strong in pulling himself up, he bends this rod. So when he finally stands, he has great strength. All right. And so after the origin story description in your notebook, I would like you just to put some images to help you remember the origin story. For me, I put a picture of a buffalo to symbolize his mother, a lion to symbolize his father, and then I just found an image of someone standing tall in triumph to show that he stood. That's maybe not the best picture. Let's search for another one. So remember, to add a picture, we go to Insert, Image, search the web, and I'm just going to type stand triumph. Nope. Stand proud. Okay. This is not, I think this is a woman in the desert, but standing with pride. So something like that, just to show someone like standing, they accomplish something. So he eventually does stand. We also could put something in to notice that his father dies. So insert image, search the web, father gravestone. So we could put that in there too, just to help us remember what happened in this part of the story. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video and begin a second one. Before you watch the second video, go ahead and fill in your notebook slides 15, 16, 17, and 18, and you can get that information from my notebook. All right, see you again soon.